Senator Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Secretary Rollins, good to see you again,
You too.
welcome to the committee.
Thank you.
Secretary, as part of the 2018 Farm Bill, Congress passed the PAWS Act legislation, which I authored to establish a grant program to provide shelter options for domestic violence survivors with companion animals. Research had found that up to 84% of women entering domestic violence shelters reported that their partners had threatened, abused, or had killed the family pet, used that as a source of intimidation for these survivors. In fact, nearly half the survivors report that they've stayed with their abuser longer, sometimes months, sometimes years, because of fear of what would happen to that beloved part of their family. PAWS funding is a priority that I pushed throughout my time on this committee and in the Senate. And it's a line item that I hope to see in the President's budget once we receive the details. So my question for you, Secretary Rollins, is would you be willing to support this important issue? And certainly I'd hope to count on you to get that continuing support that survivors have been able to get these last few years.
Senator, if we could follow up and have a longer conversation, I would welcome that opportunity. This is the first I've heard of it, so I don't want to commit without knowing more, but I really appreciate your leadership and your quiet, steady hand in all of this, and I would love to have a longer conversation about that.
Great. We will follow up.
Yeah, it would
you
be
and your
great.
team. I'll be happy to do that. In my home state of Michigan, food and agriculture is the second largest contributor to our state's economy. Everybody thinks about manufacturing and making cars. We do that really well, but ag is incredibly important. And specialty crop industries are the biggest part of that equation. That's why I've long fought for strong, consistent funding for the APHIS Specialty Crop Pest Program. And that's also why I'm so alarmed by some of the recent reports that more than 1,300 APHIS employees have accepted the deferred resignation option. So my question for you, Madam Secretary, is how will your agency continue to meet its responsibilities after such a major reduction in staffing?
Well, it's a really important question, and one that I have been talking about quite a bit in media. I think that while we are moving through the reduction in force, but one point that I made, Senator, I don't know if you were in the room, that while 15,000 of our employees of 106,000 staffed agency, so a little less than 15%, have accepted the deferred resignation program, our typical attrition is between 8,000 and 10,000. Now, obviously, this is a significant jump from that, but it is one that I believe is manageable. I signed a memorandum a few weeks ago at USDA putting our key areas such as APHIS, such as wildland firefighting, such as FSA offices at the very top of the list. So as we have lost important employees as part of this process, we are out recruiting and ensuring that they become and are prioritized as we rehire, realign, and reorganize the agency.
Okay, well, I look forward to working with you on that
Yes,
as well.
sir.
It's a major concern for us. As you know, public investment in agricultural research has decreased since 2002. While we've seen competitors such as China surge in their research efforts, they've now far surpassed U.S. investment in agricultural research as well as development. And given the critical importance of food security to national security, China competitiveness in this context, I think, is of much utmost importance for us to keep an eye on. And that's why I'm frustrated to see that the President's budget calls for hefty cuts in ag research funding. So my question for you, Madam Secretary, is ag research a priority for this administration? And if so, how do you square that with this year's budget request?
Obviously, the research is a key component of this, of the work at USDA. In this budget discussion, we're just talking about the discretionary funding, which is about $30 billion of our total $200+ billion annual budget. So at about 20% total is what we're discussing today in total. Of that, the research part of it in the budget that came out Friday went from $2.1 billion down to 1.9 billion. So while it is a cut, it's not a massive cut. It's a 7% cut, and it's very much focused on outdated facilities. So as we continue the high priority and the focus on the important research, I believe that none of that will be compromised, Senator. If you see something different on the ground in Michigan or across the country, would you please flag it for us? Because it shouldn't affect the key, most important parts of the research.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Good to see you.
Senator Ossoff.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr.